Tonight, Saskatoon Police's strip searching policy comes under scrutiny in court. Warming locations in Saskatoon collect data to capture the city's homelessness issue.
Deny the ball!
We catch up with Lisa Tomaitis as she becomes the winningest coach in Canada West women's basketball history.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, February 12th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thanks for watching. The Saskatoon Police strip search policy is under scrutiny at a fentanyl trafficking trial. The defense lawyer says her client's privacy was violated and that the charges should be stayed. It's not the first time police have come under fire for this. Dan Zakreski walks us through it.
Did police cross a line when they videotaped a strip search? That's what a recent Saskatoon court case on drug dealing is challenging. The Supreme Court of Canada says people are entitled to privacy, even here in a police station. This is the second strip search challenge Saskatoon police are facing recently, and it's the same issue, recording a strip search on video. Now, last fall, this led the Crown to drop charges against a local dentist and two others. They were charged with drug trafficking and money laundering. Prosecutors said aspects of the police strip searches didn't comply with requirements from a precedent-setting case from the Supreme Court in 2001. In another 2021 case, police charged Tanisha Velasquez with drug trafficking after finding 400 grams of fentanyl hidden in a teddy bear. She also faces weapons charges. Her lawyer says police went offside when they videotaped her strip search in a holding cell at the station.
Obviously, our courts have been pretty clear. The Supreme Court in Golden many years ago was pretty clear about the importance of privacy in these types of strip searches. They're very traumatic. They can have a significant impact.
She's saying her client's charges should be stayed because of this. Now, police say they searched Velasquez in a room with a camera because they were worried she was carrying fentanyl, and that posed a safety risk. Her trial is set for March. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Some couples are being separated in order to get respite from the cold in Saskatoon. Those behind the decision say it's heartbreaking, but for now, necessary. Helena Mahalik reports.
Saskatoon is in a deep freeze, with overnight temperatures dipping to as low as -44 with the wind chill. The city only has 2 overnight emergency warm-up locations, which for the first time ever are split by gender. St. Mary's Parish, operated by Salvation Army on 20th Street, is for men only, and the Saskatoon Indian Métis Friendship Centre on Wall Street is women's only. The executive director sat down with CBC's Saskatoon Morning. They say the division is helping to manage demand, but at a cost. There's a strain on families who are split up.
It is heartbreaking to know that we are separating people, because if it was me, I would want to stay with my family.
She says the warming centers, which don't have beds, are split by gender to create a safe space for women. But adds there needs to be a place for families and couples to spend the night together. In a pinch, the organizations will find a way to put families in a hotel on a short-term basis. St. Mary's executive director says splitting the warming centers by gender has also helped keep numbers under control. He says last year St. Mary's took in both men and women, averaging about 120 people a night. This year they see up to 90 men a night.
The way we're set up, we kind of put as our maximum number 120. Now, if we had a super cold night and 122 people showed up, we're not going to turn 2 away.
Right.
But 120 would be like a reasonable maximum. And like I said, the most we've had so far is 95.
He says St. Mary's has had nearly 4,000 overnight stays. Both shelters say they try to connect people to other services, whether it's getting identification cards or phoning to get on waiting lists for addiction treatment. St. Mary's says it's in desperate need of warm clothing and is asking for toques, mitts, and scarves. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The extreme cold continues in our province, and it really seems like there is no end in sight. Ethan Williams is here with us now for an update. Just how cold was it early Wednesday morning?
Well, in Regina, we actually had our coldest temperature recorded this winter, hitting minus 36.8, nearly feeling like minus 50 when you factor in just a little bit of wind. Not the coldest temperature we've had this winter in the rest of the locations that you see here. You have to go back to January 20th in order to get those. But again, still very bitterly cold, below minus 30. But a reminder, we've been here before. We have had other stretches in February's previous where we've had daytime highs below minus 20, overnights below minus 30. That includes in 2021 a stretch from February 6th to 14th where Saskatoon was actually colder than this cold stretch, getting down to minus 40 twice. And then in 2019, a week between February 3rd and 10th, where both Regina and Saskatoon were again colder than this time around, hitting minus 42. There is still more of this cold stretch to go, though, Sam, so we'll see if we can beat these temperatures.
I appreciate that you can show us that it could be worse.
It could be worse.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
All of Canada's premiers gathered in Washington. The latest Canadian foray against Donald Trump's tariff threat. And the federal government is busy lobbying as well. Katie Simpson reports.
Canada's premiers capping their trip to Washington, their trade mission, with some FaceTime at the White House, meeting with some senior staffers as they push Canada's anti-tariff message. That's really been the focus for Canada's premiers over the past couple of days, holding a number of meetings with American lawmakers, particularly some influential Republicans, as well as some business leaders, as they really try to work a coordinated effort to try and convince the Trump administration to steer away from imposing any tariffs on Canada. It was a similar message from Canada's finance minister and Canada's ambassador to the United States. They too held a meeting at the White House today, meeting with Howard Lutnick, who is Donald Trump's incoming Commerce Secretary.
We started the conversation by discussing our shared priorities around border security and the fight against fentanyl. We also discussed, obviously, our concern around steel and aluminum tariffs and the president's comments earlier this week. But we also agreed to continue the conversations and to be in touch over the next number of days.
One thing that Canada's ambassador to the U.S., Kirsten Hillman, really picked up on is the fact that Americans in this moment, they are aware of some of the frustrations Canadians are feeling in this moment, whether it comes to Donald Trump's comments about Canada becoming the 51st state or the overall threat to the Canadian economy.
Canadians were reacting strongly and in a unified way in the face of a lot of uncertainty coming out of Washington. And I know not just in discussions with the administration, but folks on Capitol Hill, that they have seen this, those who are paying attention to the Canada trade issue. And so my sense is that we didn't need to really, pound the table on that. We can refer to it lightly because it's well understood.
Coming out of these meetings, no one is expecting a breakthrough moment, any sort of a deal to be reached. It's all about the cumulative effect of meeting after meeting after meeting, trying to influence senior officials in the White House to try and convince the president himself to reverse course. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
We know local consumers are trying to buy Canadian as a way to combat Trump's tariff threat. But now, some grocery stores are trying to make it easier for you. Metro, Sobeys, Loblaws, and Longo's are not only pivoting away from American products, but they're ramping up efforts to make more local alternatives available and visible. Within the next few days, the stores will label goods with maple leaves to point customers in the right direction. If U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum are enforced next month, you can expect to see the cost of many everyday goods go up, including beer and other drinks in aluminum cans. One can printing business in Montreal says it's already getting ready for potential tariffs. Heart Print imports up to 100 million cans a year from the United States. It says it is stockpiling cans now before the possible increase. The Microbreweries Association of Quebec estimates each can on the shelf would see a price increase of about 30 cents if tariffs on aluminum go ahead. The World Health Organization is warning of serious impact on global health after the Trump administration paused U.S. foreign aid.
In Myanmar, almost 60,000 people, most of them women and children, have been left with no access to life-saving services. And we have limited information about the spread of avian influenza among dairy cattle in the U.S. or human cases.
The UN Health Agency says the move has also affected programs fighting polio, HIV, and other threats. The U.S. has been the biggest donor for the WHO with nearly $990 million just for 2024-25. Last month, U.S. President Donald Trump ordered the pause shortly after he took office while the programs are reviewed. Along with the U.S. aid freeze, Trump also moved to withdraw the country from the World Health Organization. Living under an extreme cold warning is almost starting to feel normal. Environment Canada says things might improve during the daytime, but we are definitely going to continue feeling this in the overnights. Ethan will have more on this wonderful forecast coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The CFL's free agency period hasn't been much of a frenzy for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Riders re-signed most of their potential free agents before the window opened. They added 2 players on Wednesday. Canadian star O-lineman Sean McEwen will join the Green and White from Calgary, as well as running back Kalen Lebron from the Red Blacks. Riders GM Jeremy O'Day says the heavy lifting is pretty much done. And with that, Tommy Stevens, Trevor Harris, Jake Meyer, Jack Cohn, and Michael Hires are all signed on as quarterbacks.
Trevor's our starter. I think everyone knows that. And really, when we talked about this offseason, we just wanted to a veteran backup that's played a lot in our game, and that's why we decided to trade for Jake and get Jake signed. And then just going through free agency, I don't necessarily know that we 100% had targeted Tommy, but just as time went on and we talked about it more and more, it just made sense for us to bring him in with. Part of it was, kind of tired of seeing him run against us a little bit because he's had a lot of success against us in short yardage. But, we at the end of the day, we felt like he's a weapon and that we could utilize him, in maybe different ways. So I'll let Mark figure out how they all fit together.
A week ago, the league announced an increase just over $400,000 in the salary cap for this upcoming season. O'Day says it remains to be seen if it will have any impact on the Riders. Training camps open up in 3 months on May 11th. She is the queen of the court. Huskies basketball coach Lisa Tomaitis broke the all-time Canada West wins record. She is now officially on top of the women's basketball wins leaderboard. Saskatoon Morning caught up with her to hear about her success in the University Sports Conference.
Deny the ball, let's go! It means I've been here a long time. I've been super fortunate to have incredible student athletes come to the U of S during my time, and also some amazing coaches that I've been able to work with pretty much over my entire time here, Ali Fairbrother and Jacqueline LaValle. So that's really unheard of to have assistant coaches that have been with you for over 20 years. The women that held the record before me, Deb Huband and Kathy Shields, they were, amazing mentors of mine and friends of mine now. 20 years ago, when I looked at them, there's certainly, there was never a thought that I would potentially one day be breaking their record. So yeah, it's a little bit surreal. Time really flies when you're having fun and doing it with some great people. So yeah, it puts it in perspective for sure. Because we were trying to figure it out exactly where I sat because in the record books, it doesn't have me being on a sabbatical year in 2012, 2013 when Jill Humbert took over. So I actually got an email from a U of C alumni back in November congratulating me on breaking the record. And I was very confused because, again, the records were kind of incomplete and inaccurate. So we had to go back and actually do the counting. And at that point, we figured out that I was, a few wins away. Going into that weekend in Edmonton, we kind of knew it was likely a foregone conclusion. The Grant McEwen team has had a rough season and we're winless so far this season, so kind of prepared for what was likely going to happen. get great people surrounding you. I know it sounds cliche, but really it comes down to that.
What just happened here?
They're the best of the best. You know, they're highly motivated. They're very driven in their academics. And they want to be the best on the court and in the classroom and in the community. So I'm super proud of them, and it's very rewarding being able to work with this age group of athletes. You have to really remain focused on what's best for the team. And, you know, I think there's many of our former players that probably would have won more individual accolades if it was about them and not about the team. So, yeah, it's important. I mean, it's a team sport. You are only as good as the team. And I think, again, the type of student athlete that we recruit, that's what's important to them. And, you know, it's not about them individually. It's about how well the team does. And, you know, the best players that we've had, it really is all about the team success. It's about the championships and the banners that are up. It's not about the individual awards at the end of the day.
Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. Does that mean as a collective team, we have to take the brunt for your weather forecasting?
Yeah, I'm just going to put this all on everyone else, right? That should be fine.
No individual awards for you this week.
No, you know, I'll take the credit when it gets warm and when spring is here and when it finally kicks into gear. I'll take the hate for it right now. I was going to say take the heat for it, but it's very cold.
I'd take the heat too at this point.
Yeah, we all would, wouldn't we? Yeah, temperatures, very cold throughout the province. I showed you a couple of stats a little bit earlier. In the past couple of days, we've been talking about, you know, just how cold it's been, especially during the daytime. But it's also been cold at night as well, with many of us dropping below -30. And in both Regina and Saskatoon in the month of February, we normally see around 2.5 or 3 nights where it gets below -30. Well, so far this February, we've doubled that average. And probably, as I say, going to keep adding to that. There still is lots of the month to go, and unfortunately, there still is quite a bit of this cold snap to endure as well. And as a result, we've still got extreme cold warnings in place for much of the southern half of the province, as has been the case these last couple of days. Southwestern Saskatchewan, though, you have dropped off from that warning. You are kind of just below that threshold for those warnings being kind of met in that area. Best we did today in Regina was -25. You see out a little bit further west, that's why extreme cold warnings have dropped off, because you're actually getting above -20 in some cases. Through northern Saskatchewan, again, it was mostly eastern sections where we were back closer to that -25 mark. So here's where things stand as we end the day on Wednesday. Jet stream well to our south. Much of the plain states of the U.S. enduring this cold as well. The bulk of it right over Saskatchewan, Manitoba. We get into Friday and the jet stream kind of recovers a little bit here, but just as it starts to get itself kind of going again, we get another drop to the south, another trough developing, and another area of high pressure will start moving in. For the meantime, that means we're under mostly clear skies. We'll see a little bit of some cloud cover build in overnight tonight through the province as this area of low pressure just skirts the southwest corner. Tomorrow afternoon, though, I think for Thursday, for many of us, we are looking at some clearing skies, though. Cloud builds back in, though, as we get into Friday, especially for southern Saskatchewan, but that next area of high pressure starts to move in. That's what's pushing that jet stream further southward, and that'll clear things out in time for the weekend. The good news is that high pressure means that we're not really going to see the winds pick up all that much, maybe a couple breezes in the south as we get into Friday, but other than that, temperatures will just stay into the -20s here. Again, some cloud cover expected Friday before things clear out in Regina for the weekend there. Is that a -17 on the board for Wednesday? Is that a carrot on the stick? We'll wait and see. Saskatoon, we're seeing temperatures again, mid-20s for these next couple of days here, feeling like -30 during the day. Again, the next few nights here, I think still until the end of the work week, at least we're dealing with those overnight temperatures into the -30s before we start to pull ourselves up a bit and those skies begin to clear. That -19 and that -17, Sam, it's going to feel tropical compared to what we've been through this last week.
Can you step a little to your right?
Yeah,
a little further. Yeah, that
this way.
No, other way. I want you to block out the normals so it doesn't feel so bad.
Oh yeah, we don't need to see that. Go away.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Monty, the giant schnauzer, was named Best in Show at the Westminster Dog Show on Tuesday in New York. The 5-year-old pooch beat out more than 2,500 canine competitors to become the first of his breed. crowned champion. He's the first giant schnauzer to ever win it. This award is considered the most prestigious prize in the American dog show world. Monty's owners say his competition days are now over and he will enjoy a well-deserved retirement. We'll be back after the break. It is good to stop and smell the flowers, but a florist in Paris wants you to take it a step further.
Ça se mange, je vais le montrer. Hein. Donc c'est ça. Légèrement piquant, mais pas trop agressif.
Yes, she said a bit spicy. Her shop sells edible flower bouquets. The shop works with local producers in the country and avoids imported flowers. The florist says France has about 150 species of edible flowers. Notably absent from her menu, red roses, the traditional Valentine's Day offering. Instead, she recommends carnations because they almost look like roses. I don't know if some people would agree with that, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about the weather?
They got any chocolate-flavored flowers in that shop?
Right.
That'd be nice. No flowers being grown here because it's too cold. Minus 30s again tonight for a lot of us through the province. Again, extreme cold warnings in place. What can I say? I basically can just tape this forecast and we'll play it over the next few nights because it's just all the same. Cloud cover through much of northern Saskatchewan, but that doesn't mean you won't be cold. Still around minus 30 overnight. I think we'll start to see some of that move away as we get into the afternoon hours, especially in far northern sections. And again, in the Churchill region, getting closer to that minus 20 mark like you have these last couple of days here. Rinse and repeat scenario for south and central as we head through Thursday again. I think we'll get some clearing and the winds will be fairly light, but this will feel like the minus 30s through eastern sections of the province. And then we head out west and getting warmer and warmer as we head to places like Kindersley and Leader and even minus 13 in Maple Creek. Wouldn't it be so nice? I think we should all just go to Maple Creek, Sam. That seems like a nice vacation.
Until it snows there or something.
Yeah, the Cypress Hills pick up a lot of that. So yeah, not as great.
It'll be fine eventually.
Yes, it will be.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we leave you, so many people have been reaching out through emails wondering why Adam Hunter has been filling in for Stephanie Langenegger on the Morning Edition. On Wednesday morning, Stephanie shared with Adam and all her listeners that she's now battling breast cancer. We encourage you to head to the CBC website or the CBC Listen app to hear what Steph had to say about it. And if you want to send her a note, you can do that at morningedition@cbc.ca. And of course, all of us are wishing her well as she begins treatment and look forward to hearing her back on the air in the morning. And that is it from us. For more news anytime, you can head to that website, cbc.ca/sask, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.